So if you've ever, waited for a new feature on an app or maybe worked on a project where the requirements just completely changed halfway through, which, let's be honest, they always do, you felt the pain of the software development lifecycle, or the SDLC.
For decades, the industry really relied on these rigid models. You had to know everything, everything, right at the start.
Which is just impossible.
Exactly. It failed constantly because requirements are, by their very nature, fluid. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the Agile model. This is the philosophy that really just revolutionized project management.
And our mission here is to decode not just what Agile is, but how its focus on speed, adaptation, and customer satisfaction actually works in practice.
Right. So let's just jump in. At its core, when we talk about Agile, we're talking about a combination of two things. It's both iterative and incremental.
Okay, let's break that down. Iterative and incremental.
The whole point is rapid delivery of working software by constantly adapting. It was a reaction to the complete failure of trying to predict the future.
So instead of a giant blueprint for a year-long project.
Yeah, you just break it down. You break the product into the smallest, most manageable chunks you possibly can.
How small are we talking? Because in the old models, a client might wait, 6 months, maybe a year to see anything at all.
In Agile, these chunks are delivered in these really rapid cycles. They're called iterations. And our source material says each one is typically just 1 to 3 weeks long.
1 to 3 weeks. That is lightning fast.
It is.
And the team isn't just coding in those few weeks, right? They're doing everything. Planning, analysis, design, coding, testing.
All of it simultaneously. It's this cross-functional sprint to deliver one very specific, complete feature.
And the result isn't just a stack of documents.
Never. At the end of every single one of those iterations, a working, demonstrable product is shown to the customer, to the stakeholders.
So they get to touch it, click it, swipe it every few weeks.
Exactly. Something tangible.
Now, this whole approach was really formalized back in 2001 with the Agile Manifesto. It sort of created an umbrella for methods that were already floating around, like Scrum and extreme programming.
And that manifesto laid out 4 core values. They're defined by what they value over the old traditional way of working.
Right.
So the first is prioritizing individuals and interactions over processes and tools. It's a shift toward, human communication, pair programming, things like that.
And the second one, this one feels like the really disruptive one, working software over comprehensive documentation.
Oh, absolutely. A demo is the ultimate form of communication.
But that sounds risky. How do big, regulated projects manage without that detailed paper trail?
That is the central trade-off. Agile basically assumes that constant collaboration, that's value 3, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and being able to respond quickly.
The fourth value, responding to change over following a strict plan.
Right. It assumes those things mitigate the risk of not having, a 500-page spec doc. The customer is effectively part of the team.
Okay, so that philosophical difference is clear. But to really get it, we have to compare Agile to the world it replaced, the world of predictive models.
Data models, yeah, like waterfall. They required this incredibly detailed planning, a complete forecast of every single task, months or even years in advance.
And they just assumed the initial analysis was perfect.
Which it never is. Any change had to go through this super strict, slow change control process. It was just fixed, rigid.
Agile, then, is the total rejection of that idea. It's the adaptive approach.
Precisely. Adaptive means there is no detailed plan for the entire product. You only have real clarity for the features you're about to build right now.
So it's feature-driven.
Completely feature-driven. You focus on delivering the highest value stuff first, and the team just adapts on the fly to new requirements.
That must cut down on the risk of, a huge failure way down the line. You're not investing years of work in the wrong direction.
You're not. Because testing is constant, it's integrated into every single iteration. You catch major problems early. And the whole reason this works is that mandatory, open customer interaction. Agile needs it. It thrives on it.
So let's make this more concrete.
Yeah.
Let's use an example. Think about an app like Instagram. Super complex.
Yeah.
In that traditional predictive model, the customer would list out every single feature, follow, profile editing, reels, go live, messaging, all of it, and then just wait, maybe 8 or 9 months for the whole thing.
And get 0 value until month 9.
Right. But in Agile, the team gets all those requirements, but then they develop based on priority.
On the highest business value, yep.
So iteration 1, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. They only build the absolute core features, let's say follow and profile editing. They deploy that tiny working build.
And immediately get feedback from real users. That feedback loop is everything.
So iteration 2 then incorporates that feedback and maybe builds the next priorities, like searching and DMs.
And the customer starts getting value in weeks, not months. This keeps the product relevant and, keeps satisfaction high.
And this whole process is guided by 12 principles. I find the one about sustainable pace really interesting.
It's essential. The principle states that developers and sponsors should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely.
Which is the exact opposite of that traditional model, with the insane crunch time right before a big launch.
Right. Agile wants predictability, not heroism.
And what about the principle of simplicity? Maximizing the amount of work not done. That's brilliant.
It is. It's about focusing on results, not wasting weeks on, excessive documentation that's just going to be irrelevant in a month anyway.
Yeah. And the source also really emphasizes face-to-face communication. Suggests a 2-minute chat in the hallway is better than a 3-day email chain.
The richest channel available, always.
Okay, so Agile is the philosophy. But under that umbrella, you have all these specific toolkits, right? Methodologies. The most famous is probably Scrum.
Scrum is all about managing tasks and organizing the teams. It defines 3 really distinct roles to keep that rapid pace going.
First up, the Scrum Master.
They're basically the professional obstacle remover. Their job is to clear any roadblocks that are stopping the team from getting their work done during that sprint.
Okay. And then you have the Product Owner.
The product owner is the visionary. They own the what and the why. They manage the product backlog, prioritize all the features based on business value, and decide what goes into each iteration.
And finally, the Scrum Team.
They're the experts. They manage their own work, they're self-organizing, and they decide how the work gets done. The power is really decentralized.
And beyond Scrum, there are more specialized methods, like extreme programming, or XP.
Right. XP is what you use when your customer has constantly changing demands. Or if they're just really unsure about what they even need, it's built for high volatility.
Sounds like every startup ever.
Pretty much. Then you have
Yeah.
something like feature-driven development, FDD.
Which is exactly what it sounds like, I'm guessing.
It is. It focuses on designing and building features separately, one function at a time. It's less about the short time boxes and more about just getting a feature totally complete.
And then there's DSDM, Dynamic Systems Development Method. What's the key thing there?
DSDM is all about empowering the team. The 2 rules are that users have to be actively involved, and critically, the teams are given the right to make decisions.
Ah, so they don't have to escalate every tiny issue up the chain.
Exactly. It prevents bureaucracy from killing that adaptive speed.
Makes sense. And lastly, lean software development.
Lean comes from manufacturing, the idea of just-in-time production. It's about eliminating waste, increasing speed, and cutting costs. And one of its coolest ideas is to defer commitment. Meaning you make decisions as late as you possibly can. That way you maintain maximum flexibility for as long as possible.
So we've seen the benefits. Agile is realistic. It promotes teamwork. You get functionality developed and out the door super fast.
It's great for projects where requirements are fixed or changing, which is, most of them. And our sources definitely confirm it reduces overall development time.
But every strength has a risk. What are the major trade-offs we need to be aware of?
Well, on the technical side, it's not great for handling really complex dependencies between lots of big teams. But I think the biggest long-term risk is about sustainability.
How so?
There's a high risk to the maintainability and extensibility of the software because of that lack of comprehensive documentation.
So the software works, but the history of why it was built a certain way might just be in the heads of the people on the team right now.
Exactly that, which leads to this very high individual dependency. If a key developer leaves, you get what some people call knowledge vaporization. The knowledge just evaporates.
And tech transfer becomes a nightmare.
A total nightmare. And that constant collaboration we praised earlier, it can also be a double-edged sword.
If the customer is unclear or unavailable.
Or just keeps changing their mind without any real thought, yeah. That heavy dependence can drive the team in circles. Scope creep becomes a real problem.
So even with these self-organizing teams, you still need a really strong leader, a skilled project manager to keep things from just descending into chaos.
You absolutely do. It's not a free-for-all.
So what does this all mean for you, the person using this software? Well, Agile completely changed the industry by maximizing speed and adaptability. It successfully put working software ahead of, perfect documentation and rigid plans.
And understanding this helps you see why your apps are constantly updating, why features roll out piece by piece, and how teams decide what to build next. It's all about the highest value, not just what's next on a list.
But this brings us back to that core tension, doesn't it? The big trade-off that's baked right into the manifesto. Our sources suggest that Agile's focus on shoot, iterative delivery means you end up with minimal documentation.
And if that critical knowledge is just living in the memory of the current team,
What's the true long-term cost of that speed? Especially, years down the line when the original team is long gone.
it really raises the question, can a system be truly well-informed and maintainable without leaving that detailed paper trail? Or is that just the price we have to pay for constant, rapid innovation?
Something for you to chew on while you're waiting for your next software update.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.